Today we are making smoked salmon burnt ends. This is the best way to smoke salmon. For the glaze, I'll give you two recipes, sweet or spicy. Burnt ends are famous for having that sticky glaze on it, so I'm going to show you how to make two different kinds depending on what kind of flavors you like. We'll do one that's sweet, we'll do one that's spicy. If you're smarter than me, while you're at the butcher buying the salmon, you'll ask them to remove the skin. However, if you're as scatterbrained as I am and you forget and you get home and realize you have the skin, you got to take it off. I'll show you how to do it right now. I like to fillet the salmon with the skin facing up. I very carefully press my fingers down on the skin and place the blade of the knife as close as possible to my fingers. I make a small incision and then I begin to work my way back and forth with the knife. The sharper your knife, the easier it will be to fillet. You just want to lift up the skin now and keep making the little tiny cuts, little incisions that will keep pulling the skin away from the meat. Repeat this process until all of the skin is removed. Now that we have the skin removed, we'll be cutting this fillet long ways into strips. Once you have the salmon into strips, we're going to place them back together to reform our fillet. And now we will cut the opposite way to create these little salmon nuggets. The goal here is to get them to be about 1 by 1 in size, but a salmon fillet is not perfect, so your pieces will be a little bit uneven. Load up all of your salmon nuggets into a container and set aside. Now we'll be making our cure, and it will consist of 2 cups brown sugar and 1/3 of a cup of kosher salt. Go ahead and get this into a mixing bowl and give it a good mix for about 30 seconds, and that'll be ready to dump this all over our salmon. It's important to get every square millimeter covered with the cure mixture. The salt and the sugars are going to help us draw the moisture out of the salmon to help us create that sticky glaze we want in these burnt ends. I mixed these cubes around for a good few minutes until all the brown sugar mixture had a home on these nuggets. Now we're going to throw this into our fridge and let it sit overnight, not longer than 24 hours. You know you did it right if they look like this when you're all done. Now there's a lot of excess sugars and salts on the surface of this salmon, so we need to give it a good rinse. The same way we would when we're brining something. And I find it easiest to do this with these little salmon nuggets if I just take a strainer, dump them all in there, and just kind of mix them around as the water's pouring over them. Now we're going to tear off a sheet of aluminum foil, place it onto a baking sheet. Now I'll place a wire rack over the pan and place the salmon nuggets on that wire rack. We do this step to air chill the salmon. Air chilling is the process where we allow the salmon to further dry after sitting in all of those juices. We're gonna place the salmon in the fridge for at least 1 hour. What's up, you guys? Welcome to my garage. We are back here again, just like we were in the last video, because it is now snowing in April. Don't know why, but it is. We live in the Midwest and we are fat and happy, so we barbecue year round. For these smoked salmon burnt ends, we are gonna be loading up our hopper with some hickory pellets by Bear Mountain Barbecue. And then we're going to be turning our smoker on to the lowest setting that it could possibly go, which is around 200 degrees if yours does not have a low setting. Typically on these pellet smokers, you can get them to have an extra extreme smoke mode, so if yours has that, you really need to do it. We're not necessarily smoking these to get these cooked to a certain internal temperature. Rather, we're just going to give these some time in the smoke to suck in all that flavor, get them glazed up, and eat them. If you're using an offset smoker or a Weber kettle to use this cook, you just want to make sure that you use a low amount of coals and not big chunks of wood, so that way you can keep your ambient temperature low and get a nice good smoke flavor. You could also follow this recipe in the oven if you want. When you go ahead and make your glaze, just put a little bit of liquid smoke in it. So let's get these smoked salmon burnt ends in the smoker. Look at this great smoke we're getting produced in here. Now, as you notice, I took out the pan underneath. I want these to get smoked from all sides. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. I'll see you guys in 1 hour. So as I told you guys earlier in the video, we are doing a sweet glaze and a spicy glaze. The base for our glazes will consist of 4 tablespoons of butter. Then we're going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of some maple syrup, followed by 1 tablespoon of honey. Pretty simple for our sweet glaze. It's going to be nice, sticky, sweet, delicious. But next up, for our spicy glaze, I just so happen to be a little bit bougie. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that I'm using to make my spicy glaze, and then I'll also tell you some good substitutes that you could use that are a little bit cheaper, things you probably already have in your fridge. For our spicy glaze, we are going to start out with 4 tablespoons of butter, followed by 2 tablespoons of Truff hot sauce. If you've never smelled Truff hot sauce, you really need to. It smells like the underwear of rich people. Just a disclaimer, I've never actually smelled anybody's underwear before, other than mine. What? You guys should see my wife's face as I'm saying these things off camera. It's quite hilarious. However, let's get back to cooking. Then we are going to add in 1 tablespoon of the spicy Japanese barbecue sauce. I feel that these Japanese barbecue sauces go really well with fish, and I figured since we were trying to do a spicy smoked salmon burnt end, I think that all these flavors are gonna pair together very well. And all kidding aside, you really do need to just smell truff. It smells like the world's finest things. It's insane. Today I am using 2 tablespoons of Truff hot sauce, but you could use any hot sauce that you have. Instead of using the spicy Japanese barbecue sauce, you could use any regular or spicy barbecue sauce that you already have in your fridge. Just want to give you guys a reminder, you don't want to put cold glaze on your hot food. You want to make sure that you get your glaze heated up in the microwave a little bit before you come back outside. This will also help from the butter and the oils of the sauces from separating so that it's more well incorporated, and it helps to make your liquid thinner when it's hot, so it acts as more of a glaze. And I'm gonna stick a little toothpick in this one right here, and then I'm gonna make all these ones off to the right, the spicy. So the way we do this glaze, we just get a little bit on our brush. We're just gonna kind of paint it on there. We don't wanna go super thick on any of these. We want it to be nice and light, just a little bit of paint, because we're gonna come out here and do this approximately every 20 minutes for the next hour. We are at the back end of our cook now. Oh, this is looking so good. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up here, and I'll see you guys back out for the next one. I decided to skip the second time I glazed these smoked salmon burnt ends because I felt that it was getting a little bit repetitive. However, I do want to show you this last time of me doing it because these little nuggets look like shiny candy right now. If you look, they're almost glowing. This sticky rub is getting caramelized onto the salmon nuggies. This is the difference it makes when you cure the salmon. It allows the glaze to really tack up on here and almost form a candy-like outer shell. I am beyond excited. After 20 minutes passed on your last go around, we're gonna take them off of the smoker. Welcome to the favorite part of my video where we actually get to dig into this yummy, scrumdiddlyumptious food. We have our sweet and spicy smoked salmon burnt ends, and I'm ready to dig in. The first one I'm gonna go for is the sweet. I'm just gonna pick one up and I'm gonna bite it in half to give you guys a nice little cross section. Let's go. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is absolutely insane. This is the best salmon I have ever had in my entire life. Now, traditionally when I make salmon, I just season it up, maybe let it sit in that kind of rubber marinade for just like 30 minutes, and then I throw it on the smoker. And when you do this, it's gonna be super moist and tender and very juicy. However, when you let it sit in this cure, as you notice when I pulled it out of the fridge and I kind of gave it that little shake, a lot of the moisture from the salmon came out. So the salmon is a little bit on that drier side. It has a consistency that reminds me, I would say probably more so of beef jerky. And this is really salty and really sweet. You could totally tell that it sat in that kind of a salty environment for a while because the salmon itself has a little bit more of that salty taste, kind of similar to how bacon is. The flavor on this, the texture of this, everything about this is absolutely phenomenal. Hands down, best salmon I've ever had my entire life. Let's go ahead and try this spicy one. Let's go. Oh my gosh. This spiciness is absolutely amazing because you can still taste the salmon, so it has a little bit of that fish element to it. It's packed with that salt. It's just amazing flavor. That butter, that truff, that Japanese barbecue sauce, all those flavors together on the salmon with that smoke. You can really taste that hickory in there because we let it sit in that super smoke for a long time. That's just turned out phenomenal. If you guys want to see another great salmon recipe that I have, you can click this video right here. And as always, I hope this video has helped you in some way, no matter whatever time of day, night it is that you found it. I'll see you guys at my next little candy adventure.